My eating was completely out of control for years. It was so bad that I was even eating when I wasn't hungry, and I thought it would be impossible to stop. But I was obese. I was 275 pounds, morbidly obese, and I had no choice but to lose weight. So I didn't give up, and I eventually did find a way to stop eating when I wasn't hungry. And I want to share it with you guys because once I followed my strategy, I was actually able to lose 50 pounds in 3 months. One of the biggest comments that I get all the time is, Nicole, how do I stop eating when I'm not hungry? Before I get into it, I am not a doctor, a nutritionist, or a medical professional. I'm just someone who's lost a lot of weight, and I share my experience and what works for me on the internet. And I did have a problem with this too, so I just wanted to share what worked for me. The first thing that I had to do was separate what was hunger and what was emotional hunger, let's call it. And that would be the eating when I wasn't hungry. Because what was happening was, and I didn't realize it, I wasn't eating properly, so I was lacking nutrients. I was barely drinking any water or eating any protein. And so there was some pieces of my day where I was eating and it was actually because I was hungry and having cravings because I was lacking nutrients. But the biggest reason I was overeating was because I was using food to numb my emotions. And that's why I'm making the video today, and that's exactly what we're going to cover. But the first step was separating the actual hunger and giving myself the proper nutrition. So I had to look at my diet and I started to eat balanced, including veggies and fruit, trying to give myself more water because when you're dehydrated, your body actually will send signals that you're hungry when you just need more water. So I had to make sure that I did all of those things first. And I actually needed to add protein into each of my meals because it's normal to be hungry when you're eating in a calorie deficit to lose weight. And protein lowers your hunger hormone ghrelin and helps you feel fuller longer. So I was getting hungry because I wasn't eating a lot of protein. I also started making sure I was eating fiber because it does the same thing. It digests slowly. Once I took care of that, then I was able to address the eating when I wasn't hungry part. And the reason why I had to deal with the nutrition part first is because once that was all taken care of, then I was able to look at where the self-sabotage was, where I was then choosing to eat when I wasn't hungry, because now I knew I was taking care of that. One last thing before I move on to the eating when I wasn't hungry, I also had to stop skipping meals. I was skipping breakfast a lot because I thought it would help me lose weight, and because I was overeating so much at night, I wasn't hungry in the morning. But that was actually backfiring and causing me to eat more at night because I would be so hungry. So I had to start making sure I was eating steadily throughout the day, starting with breakfast. And I didn't just lose 50 pounds in 3 months with what I'm going to share with you. I was able to lose a total of 130 pounds, and I've kept it off for 10 years. And I did it with this strategy combined with portion control. So if you want to know the exact meals and portions that I ate to lose it, you can buy my weight loss ebook called The First 50. The link's down below, and code Nicole will save you 10% off. And if you're looking for a really great protein snack, Kyle and I love keeping these on hand. These are the HTLT Subs Seco bars, and this is the Milky Crisp one. I love these because they're portable and I take them with me on the go. When I'm hungry, I can be tempted on the road to eat something not on my meal plan. When I have something like this, it tastes like a chocolate bar and the protein helps me feel full. So I end up eating this instead of being tempted to eat something that I didn't plan on. First of all, it is normal to be a little bit hungry, like I said before. And another thing that we had to get used to, Kyle and I, when we started to eat in a calorie deficit to lose the weight, was that we had stretched our stomachs so much that when we started eating a little bit less, we weren't used to that. We were used to eating a lot of food all the time. So that hunger on top of the normal hunger was also normal, if that makes any sense. We had to get used to a little bit of that and learn to sit with it. This is the scary part of working through weight loss and having sustainable weight loss. In order to stop eating when you're not hungry, you have to sit sometimes with the hunger. And this is how I started to do it, and Kyle started to do it as well. First, we had to look at short-term goals, because in the past, we were making these long-term goals like, we're gonna go a whole year, lose all of our weight, and have no treats at all. But that would just cause us to eat more when we weren't hungry. So we started making short-term goals where before we started losing the weight, every Friday we had a date night where we would go to our favorite restaurant where we live in Canada was Harvey's. It's a burger restaurant, so we would go there and have a date. We decided to continue that on our weight loss journey, but what we did was we got the lowest calorie burger there. We loaded it with low calorie toppings, and we would bring our own high volume, low calorie sides. So instead of having the fries and onion rings, which we used to get there, we brought a big Caesar salad kit, which we made up and divided and ate in the car. And we brought a baked potato that had some light margarine, some salt and pepper, some low-fat sour cream. And then we ate our burgers in the car with our sides, and we had car dates. And so it was something fun. It was a short-term goal. If we can just make it through the week, then we have this fancy car date, and it was fun. And it wasn't eliminating something we were already doing, it was including it. And also what we learned is, if there were things that we were craving, we needed to learn how to build it in to our meal plan, because anytime we denied a craving, it would then cause us to eat when we weren't hungry, because of the denial and the restriction and the guilt around it. So we learn to go to fast food restaurants but make better choices. And sometimes including the real thing every once in a while. We also realized we needed to have dessert every single night, because we were having that before. Taking it away just caused us to backfire and go back in that cycle. So we were having half a cup of ice cream with 2 low-calorie cookies every day, and we couldn't believe we were losing weight while eating dessert. What that was doing was it was taking the taboo off of foods. For years, Kyle and I put the emphasis on certain foods as being bad or not good for you or not good for weight loss. And that caused guilt and then caused us to eat more of it. As soon as we took the taboo off and included them into our lifestyle and our meal plans, then we stopped eating when we weren't hungry a lot of the times, because there was no denial or guilt that was causing us to numb those feelings through using the food. Also, we had a really hard time with late night eating. So we decided to put a high volume snack every night, and that was popcorn. And we made up this recipe. We seen one and we made our own that was called pizza popcorn. And we looked forward to it every night. Popcorn is really tasty and low calorie, and because of the fiber, it's very filling. And we could eat quite a bit while still staying in our calorie deficit. And the pizza flavor really made us feel like it felt like almost we were cheating on our diet, and we were like, wow, I can't believe we're eating this. And if you want the pizza popcorn recipe, it's in the First 50 ebook that I mentioned earlier. The one other thing that we had to do before I get into a little bit of a scarier sit with it piece is we had to look at holidays. What we were doing on Christmas, the very first year that we lost weight, was denying ourselves eating any Christmas food, and all holidays following that, like birthdays, Thanksgiving, anything like that. We were like, no, we're never eating treats again on those holidays. Well, our first Christmas, we had lost a chunk of weight at that point, maybe 50, 60 pounds. I can't remember exactly, but we were at Kyle's relative's house, and I normally am really picky with food, and I normally don't eat much at Christmas, but that Christmas, the basement was loaded with good food. And Kyle and I didn't eat a thing. The only thing that Kyle ate, I didn't eat anything. He took some peppers from the veggie tray, no dip. literally just eating raw peppers. And I tell this story often because I'll never forget his face. It was like disgust, disappointment, and we paid for that because we went home proud of ourselves that we didn't touch any food when other people were eating, and we didn't touch anything, and we're gonna keep our weight off. Well, what happened was, when you deny yourself and you don't enjoy or indulge sometimes in things that you like or in special occasions with your family, it might come back and bite you. And what happened was, the next day, Kyle and I, after denying ourselves, we ended up eating an entire tub, like this big, of Christmas cookies that we got from one of his relatives that we didn't even like. We ate the entire thing. Then we looked at each other and we said, we didn't even like these. Now we gotta eat something that we actually like to make up for this. So then we just kept going. And we kept eating more and more and more, and then we got stuck, and it was very hard to get back on track. So we learned it's very important to give yourself those days where you enjoy special occasions and holidays with your family, and that way you can get back on track right after without needing to numb yourself with the food the way that we had to. The biggest piece that helped me during all of these other things, these are very practical steps, was I made notes on note cards. I had a very bad emotional eating problem. I was going to therapy to help me. I was also doing a lot of research and reading a lot of books, anything I could get my hands on to try to help myself. And I took a little bit of pieces from everything, and I ended up developing these note cards. And what I wrote on them were questions that I then placed all around the house, everywhere that we would go to eat. Cupboards, kitchen table, in the car, in our room, in the living room, everywhere that we could see them. And the questions that they had on them, I actually wrote them in my diary, which this is very old. I had it when I first started losing the weight. And I put the questions on fancy, very fancy cards, and I drew hearts and flowers and stuff on them to make them appealing. But the first question said, are you actually hungry? Usually it was no, but I made sure that I put this in there. If yes, give yourself what you want. Because like I said before, if you deny yourself what you're craving, you don't find some way to build in even a low-calorie version, it will backfire. So once I took care of that question, if the answer was no, which it typically was, then it was why? Did you have a bad day? Are you bored? Is trauma coming up from your past? Are you happy? Are you excited? Did you have a great day and you're trying to numb those feelings too? How do I work through it? Basically meaning, what can I do to work through these emotions? Do I have to sit with it? How do I deal with these feelings that are coming up that I just want to numb with food? And usually I wouldn't be fully ready to deal with it. So my next step was, what can I do instead of eat? And then work through the rest later. And so then I had a list of things that didn't have anything to do with food that I could do to take my mind off of it. And usually by the time I finished the activities on my list, which I will share with you in a second, I would have enough clarity to realize that I was trying to eat because I wasn't hungry, because I was trying to numb an emotion. And then I would be ready to work through it. So my list, this is actually my exact list. Do my nails. I love painting my nails, and it's very hard to eat when they're wet because you can smudge it. Go for a walk. Write, which as you can see, I love writing in my journals, so that was something. Play computer games because I'm old and there was no like PS5 that we play now. But now I play PS5, but before it was computer games. Talk it out with someone you trust. We did have a dog, Hank. He was a Boston Terrier. I would play with Hank. He has passed away, but he was always one of the things on my list because he always made my day. And read, because I love to read. And all of those things do not involve food and would help me reach clarity so that I could then make proper decisions. This is not gonna be smooth. It doesn't come easy at first. It took a long time to do it. you have to try to be consistent with it and just don't give up. Keep doing it. The biggest thing is that you have to learn that weight loss is not a punishment, and what you've been doing is making it a punishment for a very long time and making it very hard for yourself. And that's what I was doing. And when you do that, it's very hard to stick with what you're doing because it's not sustainable. So working on making things easier for myself and setting myself up for success by having a list of things to do that didn't involve food, making sure that my nutrition was on point, that I wasn't denying myself any food that I was craving. Those were all things that really helped me stop eating when I wasn't hungry. You have to change your mindset or you'll get stuck in that same cycle. So allowing all food on the table and just realizing more nutrient-dense foods most of the time, but building in things that you enjoy, like Kyle and I built in the popcorn, the ice cream, the Harvey's dates. Those are all very important too because they help you not go to food when you're not hungry. You want to make sure that you're not denying yourself because that can cause you to start numbing again. Stop being hard on yourself and start being gentle. Sustainable weight loss is about loving yourself enough to start making decisions that make it easier for you. Focus on things that you really enjoy eating and eat just a little bit less of them every day and be consistent with that. Because all you need to do to lose weight is eat in a calorie deficit, which means you need to eat just a little bit less. And then have the note cards if you think that's something that will help you to ask yourself those questions when you're not hungry. How do I deal with this? What can I do instead of eating food right now that will take my mind off of it? You know, those kinds of things. And like I said, it's not gonna go perfect at first, but it does get easier. So just keep chugging along, doing your best every single day to love yourself a little more and be a little more gentle on yourself, and keep working on eating when you're hungry and doing something else that you love that doesn't involve food when you're not, and it will get easier. And as time went on, it became a lot smoother and a lot easier for Kyle and I. But weight loss is not linear. It does go up and down. You will make mistakes. You will overeat again. Just know that that's normal, and that happened to Kyle and I too. We would be consistent for a while, then we would make a mistake, then we would get back to being consistent, and that's okay. That's normal. You just keep getting right back on the horse again, and you keep going, and it will get easier, and eventually it'll feel weird to not be on the horse.
And we had to try to look at the things that sent us off the track, like not just go, oh, I made a mistake, I'm dumb,
Yes.
and then start the same pattern again that, you know, had you go off track.
Yeah, because like, for example, we were doing really good up until our first Christmas. We had been consistent, and then what threw us off track was because we started denying ourselves treats for that Christmas.
So then we tried to learn. We said, okay, next birthday, next gathering, next Christmas, we're gonna build in some treats and have our favorite things. And then we learned, and it was much easier then to deal with the special days.
Yeah, and talk it out. Whether you leave a comment under our channel, if you don't have anybody in your life to trust, we're here for you. We might not respond to every comment because there are so many, but we do read them all. So we're here for you. If you're struggling, write it in the comment section, or talk to somebody that you trust, or write it in a journal, or talk to a pet. Talk it out, because keeping it in, I learned when I was healing from my emotional eating, secrets keep you sick. So talk it out, be honest with yourself, get it out, and work on why you had that slip up, like Kyle said. We love you. We hope that this helps anybody struggling. We'll catch you in the next vid. Honey! See these cute socks here? These are Woodstock the Witch.
Whoa, those are pretty cool.
Pretty cute, aren't they?
Yeah, pretty cool. See ya.
See ya. Remember, the friends, that weight loss isn't just about the number on the scale. It's also about here and here. Heart and mindset. Fight through it. You can do it. Don't give up.